everybody. This is the Committee on Rules. First, we have obtained a quorum. Councilman Good, Vice Chair of the committee, Councilman Heenan, Councilwoman Tasco, and Councilman O'Brien, and myself, Bill Greenlee. First, let me note for the record, excuse me, that Bill number 150649, which is the Rittenhouse Square zoning issue, will be held until our next committee hearing, which is November 16th, 2015. Ms. Marconi, could you read the first bill before us today?
Bill number 150645, an ordinance amending Chapter 14-300 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Administration and Procedures to add requirements related to the recording of survey plans and final plats under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Good morning. Please identify yourself and proceed.
Good morning, Councilman Greenlee, members of the Rules Committee. I'm Marty Gregorski, Division Director of the Development Division of the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. Here to testify on Bill number 150645, which was introduced in the City Council on September 10th, 2015 by Councilmember Greenlee. Bill number 150645 amends the technical requirements for recording a lot adjustment or subdivision with the Department of Records. This bill was drafted at the request of the Department of Records to clarify what is needed for such a submission and is consistent with the actual procedures that are currently being used. The City Planning Commission believes that this bill will cure some of the confusion that applicants face when recording these plans. Philadelphia City Planning Commission, at its meeting of October 20th, 2015, recommended Bill number 150645 for approval. And I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Gregorski. Let's hear from Commissioner Decker, and then if there's any questions. Commissioner?
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
I also am here today to show support for Bill number 150645. My name is Joan Decker. I serve as the Records Commissioner, and this bill will address requirements for deeds and survey plans in the event of a subdivision or consolidation of a property. And with your approval, I will just summarize. What this bill will require is the submission of a deed of either consolidation or subdivision accompanied by an approved survey plan or final plat whenever the lot lines for a property, the land component, are changed. This will address some of the confusion, as Marty pointed out, that we really are experiencing in the public record. Without this revision, the impact would be that the information on the public record, which is where the public and many of the real estate practitioners refer as the repository for land data, the information will not be accurate and current. That means that there might have been on the ground, in reality, changes in the dimensions and size of a piece of property. We would not have the current owner's name, the correct dimensions, or the date of any changes or transfers. So this bill will actually cure and correct some of these issues. These issues create a lot of complex issues later when there is a pending transaction, which then requires using legal assistance, attorneys' involvement, and it increases the cost and also delays the pending transaction completion. The best example that I can use is that of it was a real-life example of a property owner who sold off an adjacent lot that he owned to a neighbor. And the neighbor then theoretically owns the larger piece of land, and the new owner paid taxes on the entire parcel. However, the correct documents were not filed, and the existing prior owner actually reflected still owning the larger piece of property. When that homeowner died, it took quite a bit of time to resolve this issue, to locate heirs, to resolve the property issues, and to properly subdivide the property and then transfer to the new owner, wherein the lot lines were consolidated into one property line, and the correct documents, the deed of a subdivision and confirmation, were properly filed. Again, this really helps us to resolve a lot of the complex issues that sometimes delay sales and increase costs for the homeowner, and it will reflect more accurate information on the public record. And I wanted to thank you, Councilman Greenlee, for your support and for introducing this legislation to the committee as chair. And I thank you for helping us to improve the recording process in the Department of Records. I am very glad to be able to testify on behalf of this bill and will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, and Mr. Gregorski. And Commissioner, thank you for all the work you're doing there. I know it's, we've gone through a lot of issues there, and things keep steadily improving, and I think this bill also will improve both for your department and for the public. And just for the record, there are letters here in support of this bill from Philadelphia VIP and from Kenneth Fleischer, who is the chair of the real estate department of the law firm of Czar & Baum, both in support of the bill. Any questions for the commissioner? First, for the record, Councilwoman Reynolds Brown is present, and I recognize Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you please share with us what triggered the need for this action?
Sure. Good morning, Councilwoman. Yes, what happens is when a property is subdivided or consolidated and transferred to a different owner, without the proper legal documented deed, which is legal representation of the ownership, as well as a legal representation of the exact dimensions of the property, the landmass that this particular owner really now owns, the public...
Commissioner, let me interrupt you a second. Sure. It's a little hard to hear this room. It's a hearing room, but it can't hear real well in it. Could you speak right into the microphone?
Sorry. Is this better?
Yeah, it might be the microphone. It might not be you, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. So what happens when there is a change in actually the lot lines of the landmass of the property? Without the submission of a deed which reflects that, the deed is supposed to include the legal description, the meets and bounds description, which provides the dimensions of the property, the landmass that the property owner owns. There is no formal deed that is, in some cases, filed and recorded with the Department of Records. Department of Records is responsible for maintaining the deed registry and also the registry of the property lines. So in the absence of that being on the public record, neither members, the citizens and members of the public, nor real estate practitioners have current and accurate information to go by. For example, title insurers use these public records to issue title insurance and to represent clearly the coverage for the legal dimensions of a property. So this is really attempting to ensure that the proper deed, which is a legal document, is on the public record, and it clearly identifies who the owner of the property is, how large the dimensions of the property are, the landmass, and exactly when that transfer occurs. So it's very clear who owned what when. When that is not filed with the Records Department, it really doesn't appear in a comprehensive way in any of the other city agency systems. And the Records Department has the responsibility for maintaining the land records and making them available to the public. So we want to ensure that this information is accurate and it is current, that it actually reflects what is happening on the ground in reality.
So what happens in instances, or will the same protocols apply in instances where an owner wants to subdivide their property and the property that is subdivided remains in the owner's name?
Well, when that happens is that the owner is still reflected on the public record as owning that property. We distribute that information to other city agencies, and it is possible that it would affect different situations like taxing as to who really owns the taxes on that particular lot of land, and it determines the amount of taxes that are due. The larger the property, in many cases, the larger the land mass, the higher the tax bill. So it creates issues when that occurs. And it also creates issues, in addition to current, whenever that property is sold, there is not a clear chain of title on the property.
Okay.
So when a prospective sale occurs, that property owner will have difficulty. There will be delays in trying to resolve all of those issues. It will require an attorney working on that to go through the chain of title, working with the land title insurance company before all of that could be resolved. So it would increase the cost for a property owner, and it also will delay any pending sales or any other type of changes that the owner wishes to make.
What administrative measures or practices will go in place to inform citizens that this is the new order of the day?
Yeah, we will be sending letter notifications Of course, this particular legislation will become incorporated into the Philadelphia Code,
Okay.
which most practitioners refer to, so it will be very clear as to the steps to follow. The Records Department, we will inform owners when we can determine that there is a change in the property and is not properly reflected on the public record. We will send a letter and also give them a clear explanation of what is missing and what needs to be corrected.
So there'll be a trigger in your department. Practitioners will know what to do.
Yes, that's correct.
Most of us are not practitioners who live and breathe the business of what this is all about. So for the average citizen, what protections will be in place so they are not penalized for not knowing that this is the new law? What will be the trigger in your department for the average citizen?
Well, again, when we are aware that there is a change, we will notify the property owner. We will be looking at the documents and identifying where there is a difference, there is a change, and informing them that they really need to have a deed of confirmation, subdivision recorded with the Records Department,
Okay.
and to bring in the copy of the plan, which should have already gone through the approval process, but we will advise them as to the exact steps. We would not recommend penalizing anyone who was not aware of the requirements.
If I may add, every single subdivision or lot consolidation comes through our office, the Planning Commission.
Is that right?
Every single one has to come through us and be approved, and our staff will also be letting the folks know who are going to actually do the subdivisions that this is the new process. Many of them know already.
So
but-
let me repeat what I think I heard. Every single citizen who wants to subdivide their own property, one of the required steps is to notify planning.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
One other thing. So is there a brochure in planning that becomes a guide, becomes a guide piece for citizens?
There is a zoning administrative manual which contains some of it, but in truth, the process is somewhat complicated to put on a brochure. When folks come in, they have an idea, they meet with our staff, we lead them through the process depending on which process they need.
Okay. All right then, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilwoman. No other questions for these two witnesses? Anyone else here to testify on Bill number 150645? Seeing none, thank you. Ms. Marconi, our next bill, please.
Thank you.
Bill number
Thank you.
150499, an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning to provide for notice to be given to the Director of Commerce in connection with certain zoning and planning applications for permits, approvals, and variances under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Mr. Gregorski, why don't you start?
Good morning, Councilman Greenlee, members of the Rules Committee. I'm Marty Gregorski, Division Director with the Development Division of the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. Here to testify on Bill number 150499, which was introduced in the City Council on May 21st, 2015 by Councilmember Heenan. Bill number 150499 amends the Philadelphia Zoning Code by requiring the permit applicant through the RCO notification process to provide written notice of their application to the Director of Commerce in cases involving a property that is in a district classified as industrial or industrial mixed-use district. The Philadelphia City Planning Commission at its meeting of June 9th, 2015, recommended Bill number 150499 for approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Why don't we hear from all three of you, and then we'll have questions.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Greenlee and members of the Rules Committee. My name is Michael Cooper. I am the Director of the Office of Manufacturing and Industry within the Department of Commerce. I am also here in support of Bill 150499. Last November, I testified to this committee about the importance of industrial land preservation as a priority for economic growth and public safety. We know jobs in the industrial sector pay well and provide important bridges to the middle class for so many Philadelphians, which is why Commerce and PIDC spend considerable time and resources supporting this growth. We also know that industrial businesses need separation from residential and commercial retail uses in order to operate efficiently. When industrial businesses are pushed out of existing corridors, the likelihood of those businesses relocating out of the city increases exponentially, often induced by the use of tax credits from neighboring states. I'm happy to report that since last year, we've made important progress in implementing processes and procedures to better manage preservation and growth. The 2010 Industrial Land Use Strategies recommendations have been incorporated into every single district plan that is now being remapped. The Port Richmond Industrial Development Enterprise was made a registered community organization to allow those businesses, most of whom are property owners, the chance to respond to development plans within their district. We've enjoyed a positive dialogue and coordination with the Zoning Board of Adjustment, helping to better articulate the problem areas and having that lead to more scrutiny and questioning of those who are quick to claim a hardship as a strategy for backdooring a more lucrative development plan. And we are now working with our partners in Council, the City Planning Commission, and other agencies to develop a more robust internal review system for preserving industrial sites. Bill 150499 provides the Department of Commerce with needed time and context to better coordinate with applicants, engage building owners before their variance hearings, and offer more prepared recommendations to council offices, the Planning Commission, and the ZBA. The bill's rule change will also send a message to applicants that if they do plan to use an existing industrial property for non-industrial, non-conforming activity, then their due diligence must consider the effects it will have upon neighboring businesses or face united opposition from Commerce, PIDC, and Planning. Zoning decisions are made for important reasons, and when variances are granted due to lax oversight or rushed engagement, it erodes our ability to retain employers in the city and identify space for employers that we hope to attract. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Before you start, let me just have the record reflect that Councilman Squill, a member of the committee, is present. Sir, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Tom Dalfo, and I represent the Philadelphia Industrial Development Corporation. I'm here to testify in support of Bill number 150499. This bill will require property owners to notify the Director of Commerce when a development proposal is required to provide notice to the registered community organizations. This expansion of the notice provision will provide an opportunity for the Commerce Department to coordinate with staff of the Planning Commission and PIDC to evaluate whether a given proposal will impact functioning industrial districts around the city. As Mike noted, this represents an implementation of recommendations made from the industrial land use and market strategy as well as the manufacturing growth strategy, which was to preserve the geographic and operational integrity of Philadelphia's industrial districts. By providing timely notice to the Director of Commerce, this ordinance will provide adequate time for complete a thoughtful analysis of the impact of proposals that require a use variance in an existing industrial district. It will also provide a chance to coordinate with manufacturers as well as the trades that are represented in them, located in an affected district to determine the impacts on their operations as well. I would ask that the committee consider this bill favorably. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you to all three of you. Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for your testimony. I want to state for the record, it's a pleasure working with all of you on this notification, and it is a simple notification in preserving our industrial lands in the city of Philadelphia, when I think we all know that it is critical to preserve some of that for light industrial in industrial land, whether it's warehousing or distribution, where we can create economic development. And all too often when things are busy, I mean, right now you look out, for example, you see more cranes in the last year than we've seen in the last 10 years. So that's really good for the economy. And as commerce is expanded, and we're expanding our ports, and we're looking to preserve the valuable land that we do have here in urban Philadelphia to create opportunities. Moving in 2015 on notification, which this process already encompasses and has in place, where the direct neighbors are being notified and the registered community groups are notified. The ZBA is obviously, this is upon appeal for various reasons, and the district council person are being notified. Adding the Director of Commerce, I think, is such an easy thing to do, especially when it comes to, I think, the vision that we have as a city moving forward, while maintaining the notification process. So it's a pleasure. I think this is a great step in the right direction. A whole point of personal privilege. We, as a result of the manufacturing task force created by an executive order, we have, there was a report of manufacturing growth strategy that is the blueprint, and this is a part of it. And also part of it was the creation in the Commerce Department of an Office of Manufacturing and Industry, which Michael Cooper heads up in concert with PIDC and Planning. So I think the intergovernmental coordination is is incredibly important, and it's been incredibly successful. And moving forward, I think it's absolutely, the way to break down the silos that people complained about over the last couple decades. So I want to thank them for all their attention in commerce and industrial preservation. But in addition, I want to thank Mike Cooper for his years of service, not only with PIDC, but now with the Commerce Department, as he's going to be moving on. Other parties have recognized his talent. It's going to be our loss. But from a personal perspective, I wish you well, and look forward to staying in continuing contact with you here in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate that.
And good luck to you, Mr.
Thank you.
Cooper.
Okay,
Okay.
appreciate
And
that.
Councilman, thank you for all the work you've done on this issue. And you started just about as soon as you got here, and it's things are going certainly in the right direction in that field. Record will please reflect that Councilwoman Bass, member of the committee, is present. Any other questions for the three witnesses on this bill? Seeing none, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to testify on bill number 150499? Seeing none. Ms. Marconi, our last bill today, please.
Bill number 150374, an ordinance establishing a neighborhood improvement district in the area generally bounded by, including 11th Street to the west, Filbert Street to the north, 8th Street to the east, and Market Street to the south, with the exception of certain condominium units at 801 Market Street condominium not included in the district, to be known as the Gallery Neighborhood Improvement District, designating Gallery Neighborhood Improvement District Corporation, a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association for the district, approving a plan for the district including a list of proposed improvements and their estimated costs, and providing for assessment fees to be levied on property owners within the district, authorizing the Director of Commerce on behalf of the city to execute an agreement with Gallery Neighborhood Improvement District Corporation relating to the district, and authorizing Gallery Improvement District Corporation to assess property owners within the district a special property assessment fee to be used in accordance with the approved plan, all in accordance with the provisions of the Community and Economic Improvement Act and under certain terms and conditions.
Mr. Dom, good morning. Dom, good morning, please. Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Committee on Rules. My name is Dwayne Bum, and I'm the Senior Deputy Director of Commerce. I'm here to testify in favor of Bill 150374, establishing the Gallery Neighborhood Improvement District. Pursuant to the Community Economic Improvement Act, 2 public hearings are required prior to approving a new neighborhood improvement district. The first required hearing was held on September 15th, 2015, before this committee, at which time Commerce testified in favor of the bill.
Dom, a little closer to the microphone.
Sorry,
Okay.
sure.
Thank you.
The first hearing was on September 15th, 2015, before this committee, at which time Commerce testified in favor of the bill and in favor of an amendment that was adopted by the committee. We are here again today at this second public hearing to reaffirm our support for this bill. As stated at the previous hearing, the intent of this legislation is to create a neighborhood improvement district, or NID, that overlaps with the tax increment financing, or TIF, district created for the Gallery Mall through Bill 150380. The Gallery TIF bill was passed by City Council on June 18, 2015. The NID will exist for approximately 20 years to coincide in time and location with the TIF. All of the properties included in the NID are owned and controlled by PREET by deed or by long-term lease. During the last hearing, this committee adopted an amendment providing caps for the proposed uses of the NID assessments, guaranteeing that project-based NID assessments are for improvements that exceed those approved by this council earlier this year, ensuring that NID assessments pertaining to anything other than a TIF shortfall payment will not have a higher priority over municipal liens, and clarifying that assessments cannot be collected from either the city or the redevelopment authority. The Commerce Department supports an additional amendment to be offered to the committee today, which clarifies that real estate taxes always have priority over NID liens. We believe this is consistent with the Community Economic Improvement Act and consistent with the parties to the gallery transaction, and consequently support this amendment. Again, we seek this NID as a logical and important extension of the TIF that has already been created, and that it may increase the ability of PREET to secure financing for the gallery project through the TIF structure. For these reasons, we ask that you adopt the amendment and vote Bill 150374 out of committee with a favorable recommendation. I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dom. Before we hear from anyone else, questions to Mr. Dom, Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As far as the city is concerned, the NID used for the TIF in order to secure financing, the city believes, from your statements, that this is a viable way to secure that financing?
Yes, we do, and we've reviewed that both with City Solicitor's Office, counsel for the developer, as well as technical staff for City Council.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions for Mr. Dom? Seeing none, Ms. Salter, you're already there, so please identify yourself for the record and proceed. Right into the microphone, though, because...
My name is Irma Lopez Salter, and I am here representing the Gallery Merchants Association, which is the 14 of, because it's the 14 of us, the merchants. I'm here today. Wait. I've been a merchant at the gallery for 23 years until my lease was not renewed December 2014, and I was forced out to leave because of the construction, which has not started yet. Today I'm here again to first ask some questions before my testimony, and my questions are, I understand that there's a over $5 million budget for the NIT. Where did that money come from? Who appoints the board members? The executive staff, titles, salaries, and job descriptions. Who are the 51%? I'm confused about that because I only know 2 owners of the gallery, so I don't know what the 51%, I thought that we was included in that. Future residents, I thought that that's what we are. And then could you define the assessed property owners? Like I said, I only know 2. The residents' representations are based on square footage of property in the NIT. Please explain, does this mean large stores, kiosks, and retail merchandising units that pay the rent payers, in other words? The NIT is, I understand, is responsible to the collection of property assessment fees by raising rents of the businesses in the district, large or small, to ensure the property assessments are paid for 20 years. So for this reason, I'm offering myself to be a member of the NIT as a future resident, a past resident, and a business owner. Taxpayers, and become one of the 51%, because I still don't understand where do we come in as the 51% when there's only 2 owners. So again, amend what's here today to include me or a small business member to the NIT and be part of the, and of course, you know that we want to be part of the ribbon cutting ceremony to open the Market Street Designer Outlet Gallery of Philadelphia in 2017. Now, I understand that in 1998, a bill was submitted or gave you the power, City Council, to have people collect, see the rents collected. I don't understand if the NIT is going to be only the gallery, not nobody across the street from the gallery, back the street of the gallery, but inside the gallery. And according to my understanding, I'm going to be in the gallery 2 years from now when we open up. So why can't I be a member of the NIT so I could help make sure that the assessment taxes are paid. So I could know what else is happening, so I could help you cross the T's.
You got to speak in the microphone.
Cross the T's, dot the I's. So, because we've been paying taxes all these years, and in fact, the gallery been there for 40, 50 years, and a lot of small businesses have been there paying and trying to keep up with all the taxes and expenses. If RDA did not do their part, that's not our fault. So don't blame us, because now that the NIT or the gallery owns the public land and it's going to have money to fix everything up, well, we're part of that. So I'm asking you to, before you support this bill, to answer some of these questions and to consider having the renters or the businesses, no matter how large or how small, as long as you're there paying taxes, paying rent, which you will use to pay the taxes with, include us in. And I thank you, and I would love to hear some of the answers to the questions.
Okay, before I recognize Councilman Squirrell, just one question. As I understand, the vendors are not, they're not going to be assessed for the NID, right?
I can't.
The vendors, you're saying you want to be on the board, but are they part of the NID? I mean, as far as being assessed? I thought the agreement was...
we pay rent. We pay rent, and you use our rent money to pay your bills, and the taxes is one of your bills. That's like, you rent a property, and the owner collects, and then their taxes go up, so they go up on our rent, and so then you use the money to pay the taxes. So indirectly, yes.
But you're not assessed directly through the NID, right? You would not be, correct?
I mean, according to what you want to do, or you want to vote on today, but you could change that.
So you want to be part of the NID? You want to be assessed?
I want to be assessed like
you want to be assessed?
I'm going to be assessed anyway. I'm going to be assessed anyway.
That was talked about before. That's why I'm a little confused.
No, I'm going to be assessed anyway. I mean, maybe you think I don't understand, but I do understand that you use my rent money to pay your bills, and part of your bills are the taxes.
Okay, so you wanted the vendors, and I assume you're speaking for the group.
Yes.
Is saying they want to be assessed as part of the NID. Is that what you're saying?
I want to be on the NIT board.
Wait a minute. You got to answer my question first.
Okay.
Are you? Because my understanding was when we had these hearings before, and there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of negotiation and all that. Mm-hmm. I thought one of the things was that the vendors did not want to be assessed.
Well, who did you hear that from?
I thought was the testimony here.
Well,
so you're saying you don't. So that's why I'm asking you directly. Right. Do you, as a vendor, want to be directly assessed through the NID?
I believe that I'm being assessed anyway, so yes.
Okay. And you believe that's what the vendors want? They want to be assessed?
The vendors are here, they trust me. Anybody that don't trust me...
you got to speak in the microphone.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you think, okay, all right. Okay. You answered that. Councilman Squirrell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, the ownership will be the Preet-Macerich merger will be the ownership of the building. They will have 100% ownership of the property. The NID assessments will be placed on the inline stores, will not be placed on the vendors. The vendors will pay rent. The inline stores will pay rent. If the NID goes into play and the assessments will go onto the inline stores, that will be additional money that needs to be paid by the inline stores to Preet in order for them to pay their finances.
Excuse me, and that goes by square footage?
Yes.
Okay.
But the vendors will not be charged. If you want them to be charged additional dollars to pay more than their monthly rent, I guess Preet would allow that to happen if you guys want to chip in and pay more every month to pay off their debt. The reason for the NID was to secure their financing for the TIF, the tax incremental financing that we went into place. Since the vendors are not part of the current program, That's something that would have to be negotiated between you and Preet, the owner of the operation. We've never, I mean, we've been doing NIDs and bids for a long time. We've never had people voluntarily want to pay more to be included in that, and there's always a first time. The board is going to be made up by probably most likely the Preet board, since they're the ownership of the gallery. This is a little bit different than a normal NID that you see, a neighborhood NID that's, or bid that you see in Passyunk Avenue, Center City, and places like that. Each assessed property owner there pays a percentage of their taxes to the NID or the bid in order for special services. This is the gallery itself assessing their inline stores additional, over the rent, additional dollars to help secure their financing. So it's a little different, and I think maybe you have some confusion on that aspect of it.
So the NID is a nonprofit organization, and where did the money come from? I didn't hear that part.
Where does the money come from?
Right, the $5 million.
It's going to come from all the store owners who participate in it.
But we're not there. So right now, if you
You're
want
not there, so there is no NID. The NID can
so
only
the NID don't open till 2017?
Right, until you sign your lease. When you sign your lease and those inline stores become part of that, that'll become of them agreeing to their lease to be part of the NID. So there is no NID right now. There is no board right now. And you need to secure your financing when you have to start paying it back. And if there's no stores there, there's no NID. Mm-hmm. So as each person signs up, unless somebody has any other additional information to add to that, that's how this is going to work. So to want to be taxed additionally, if you and your vendors want to do that, I guess you could bring that to Preet as you go apply for your contracts and your leases when you go to be part of the NID process. So that NID will be created at that time when the stores start filling up and the gallery starts to open up.
Okay, well, I think that the merchants don't mind because they want a voice to be, because it's more, I'm pretty sure that this $5 million nonprofit organization has more to do than just to wait till once a year when the tax bill comes in and then have a meeting. I'm pretty sure it's going to be more than that.
That'll be done at the time. It's like when the regular NID, the way it works is if a percentage of your real estate taxes normally goes toward a bid or a NID. So if you own a home and your house is $100,000 and you have to pay 5% of that a year in order to be associated with that bid. If you don't pay that, then there is a lien they can put against your property. This is a little bit different in that this assessment is going toward to show the bank that they're able to get additional dollars from their store owners if for some reason they're not able to make their financial agreements that they made to borrow the money to do this project. And that's the purpose of this NID. So it's not a NID like a neighborhood improvement district the way it initially was set up in some of the other formats. So
I understand that it's inside
this
the
is
gallery.
just a gallery.
Right, I understand.
One property owner. It's only one property owner. He's the only one. It's the NID within itself.
Right.
And it's just for financing of their debt.
Okay, well, I think that maybe Priette would like to meet with us and talk to us.
Listen, and I'll invite you to the ribbon cutting, and we'll make sure you're there when we cut the ribbon, open that up, and
that's good. But I want to know. See. Let me just tell you, like I have shared with you. I just need to be in their lives, and I want them in my life for 2 years, so I could know what's happening every step of the way before we cut that ribbon.
Irma, I know you're going to be in my life. So if you're in my life, you're going to be in their life. So we're all going to be in our lives together as this move forward. So you're not going to stop questioning and wanting to be a part of this, and you want your business back in the gallery when it opens up. So we're going to be walking this one step at a time as we move forward. And hopefully this project gets done, and in 2 years it opens back up to a brand new place that can make a lot of people a lot of money.
Okay. Well, for my last statement, I humbly request that I be part of the net, and I also request that maybe Priet would give me the honor to meet with them so they could know that I'm there to be part of the partnership, not to be against, just to be in, because if the big stores have inside and know what's going on, at least the little stores should also, or the little vendors. This way, one vendor could come and meet with them and say, oh, our taxes are going to go up, whatever.
I agree with you, and I will set up a meeting with Preet, and me and you, we'll sit down with their group. But you're not going to include somebody who's not in the NID. It's not like saying, all right, we're going to have a NID of all people in our area, and we're going to have somebody from Jersey be on it, because it don't affect them, it doesn't involve them. So to be on the board is going to be very difficult and most unlikely. But just so you know that I'm not just saying that because you're not associated with the NID, you're not part of the NID, and you're not including in it. So to have somebody on the board who would not be a part of it is very unlikely.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Record reflect Councilman Johnson, member of the committee, is present. Any other questions for Ms. Salter? Seeing none. Thank you. Thank you both. Anyone else here to testify on bill number 150374? Seeing none, and for the record, as Mr. Dunn mentioned, there is a amendment to this bill that will be offered at the committee meeting. All right, that concludes our hearing of the Committee on Rules. We're now going to our public meeting, and the chair recognizes Councilman Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that Bill 150645 be reported out of this committee with favorable recommendation. The rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading in our next council session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, bill number 150645 is reported out of this committee with favorable recommendation with a rule suspension. Councilman Good?
I move that Bill 150499 be reported out of this committee with a favorable recommendation. The rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading in our next council session.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, bill number 150499 is reported out of this committee favorably with a rule suspension. Councilman Good.
I move the amendment to Bill 150374 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the amendment is approved. Councilman?
I move that Bill 150374 as amended be reported out of this committee with a favorable recommendation. The rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading in our next council session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, bill number 150374 as amended is reported out of this committee favorably with a rule suspension. Being no further business for the Rules Committee today, thank you all for your participation.